Welcome Algebra 1. This is section 710 and negative exponents. The essential question is, what are the properties of exponents in this section? Let's begin. So laws of exponents here. I got 6 different properties, and in this lesson we're going to do the first 2. The next lesson will cover the rest. Close that. So before we get into that, let's talk a little bit of basics about exponents. First question is, what is a power? You saw this in that last slide. We talked about powers of a power and powers of a product. What is a power? Well, it's basically an exponent here. So this equation right here reads as 3 to the second power equals 9. So 3, which is your base, and we call the bottom number the base, to the second power, that's the power up here, this is the power, and that equals 9. Now the second one right here reads as 2 to the fifth power times 2 to the eighth power equals 2 to the 13th power. So that's how you read that stuff, and that's what a power is. Let's talk a little bit more about exponents. So 2 to the first power is just a 2. When you do 2 to the second power, that becomes a 2 times 2, which is 4. To the third power, you have 3 2's being multiplied together, and that's 8. To the fourth, you follow the same pattern. It'd be 4 of them, that's 16. And to the fifth would be 5 of them, just like this, and that'll be 32. And to the 10th power, well, I'll leave that up to you, and you can put that in for extra credit. Just leave a comment. Let's see if evaluating these are negative 2 to powers. Well, negative 2 to the first power is just negative 2. Squared is going to be negative 2 times negative 2, which will be positive 4. To the negative 3 power, it's going to be negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, which is the same thing as positive 4 times negative 2, which is negative 8. And you'll see a pattern where we're rotating positive and negative. This will be positive 16, this will be negative 32, and this will be positive 64. So when you have a negative in there to a power, if it's an odd exponent, like in these cases, it's going to be a negative answer. If it's a positive exponent, it's going to be a positive answer. All right, let's talk about zero exponents. So the rule for zero exponents is for every non-zero number a to the 0 power equals 1. So anything to the 0 power equals 1. Anything that's not 0. So 4 to the 0 equals 1. Negative 3 to the 0 power equals 1. 1/5 to the 0 power equals 1. That's it for that. Now, negative exponents. So for every non-zero number a, an integer n, a to the negative n power equals 1 over a to the positive n power. So basically what we're doing is we're taking the negative, and the way I like seeing this, a to the negative n over 1 to the a to the positive n. It's like you're taking an a to the negative power, and then you flip it to the bottom side of the fraction. If it goes to the bottom, then it becomes a to the positive n power. So like in the case of this one, 7 to the negative 3, you flip it to the bottom of the fraction, the denominator becomes 1 over 7 to the positive 3. Negative 5 to the negative 2 power, flip it to the bottom, it becomes 1 over negative 5th to the positive 2 power. All right. Simplified form of exponents. You might hear me talk about the simplified form. If I say to find the simplified form, you must only use positive exponents, and you must perform all operations. So I don't want you to leave a simplest form as 5 to the negative 2. I want you to convert that to 1 over 5 squared. But don't leave it as 1 over 5 squared. So perform the operation. So if you get a 5 squared or a 9 squared, multiply it out. So 1 over 5 squared would be 1 over 25. And you leave like a 9 squared is 81. So for example here, 9 to the negative 2 is not simplified. If you convert it to 1 over 9 squared, that's better, but not simplified still. I want you to multiply that 9 squared out, so it's 1 over 81. This is your simplified form. Let's do some examples. Pause the video. All right, first one, 4 to the negative 3 power. We want to simplify. It's 1 over 4 to the positive 3 power. And 4 to the third power is going to be 64, so it's 1 over 64. Negative 5 to the 0 power, anything to the 0 power is 1. 6 to the negative power is 1 over 6 to the positive 1 power. And 6 to the positive 1 power is just 6, so you leave it as 1 over 6. The last one, negative 4 to the negative 2 power is 1 over negative 4 squared. But negative 4 squared is going to be 16, so it's 1 over 16. All right, let's try some other examples. Pause the video. All right, these are a little different because there's variables here. So what I like doing is when I see 5a to the third b to the negative 2, this part is going to go to the bottom of the fraction and become positive. So the simplified form is 5 times a to the positive 3 over b to the positive 2. Now this bottom one here, so it's 1 over x to the negative 5. We don't like keeping negative exponents, but you flip it to the top and it becomes positive 5. So it becomes x to the positive 5 over 1, which is just x to the 5th power. And let's see, that's it.